All right, real quick. So I'm prepping to take this transmission out. So I want to take the oil. I'm gonna drain the oil, transmission fluid. So this guy is a 17 millimeter Allen key. So I'm gonna take that sucker out, let the oil drain, and I'll start working on the hubs because I'm gonna reuse those. No point in leaving them on. All right, so before I even lifted the car off the ground, some of you may have seen it, some of you may not, but I loosened the sucker. It's still a little tight, but not too tight that I can't do it by hand. And if you got an impact gun too, at this point, it would be no problem to get it off. I've got the, like I said, I got the transmission draining. I'm probably gonna stick the plug back in there in a second and move the drain pan over here. That way, if any fluid comes out of the axle tubes, it won't be going all over the floor. But even if you didn't plan on using these hubs, I mean, this is definitely one way that you can get in here and get to the handbrake cable to pull it loose. I'll show you that in just a second. All right, so we got our nut off. Might need to get me a rubber mallet. Brakes should be off. Come on, bitch. All right, that is really blah. It needs to be clean real bad. So I'm gonna see how much these are. I haven't researched it yet, but hopefully I can get these at like Advanced Auto or AutoZone or something. Because there was a little bit of unevenness when I stopped. I mean, it wasn't bad, but you know, it's already off. Why not? You know. All right, so a little bit of pain, but whatever. So release the brake cable. So this guy runs through this hole and is fed onto this guy. But you've got a bracket right here with a, I don't want to drop that in the oil again, with a bolt sticking out the back. Just undo that and finagle it out. So that way it can give you some more playroom. Yeah. Also remove your clip for your brake line. That way when we take this off, it can go free. You got your 14 millimeter nuts right here, or bolts rather. All right, so now you remove the 4 bolts out. You can remove this little thing right here, and that's when our fluid's going to come out of our tube. Definitely take pictures of this stuff. I should have replacements for all this, but I'm gonna make sure before I knock it out. I mean, you saw how much it's leaking just from removing this guy, and all it has is that rubber seal. So kind of an important seal, you know. All right, then just give this guy a whack with the rubber mallet. So mine, you push this guy backwards a little bit and feed it through. Now you can get it out of the way. Just set this guy on the ground. To get the transaxle out with the tubes on there, all you gotta do is remove these 3 nuts and bolts. Then you have your stopper on one of them, and the lower part of your shock. You got the one nut right there on the bolt. Remove that, and that's it. You can put it on jack stands to prevent it from hanging down too low if you want to kind of ensure you're not jacking up your transaxle. But yeah. All right, so over here on this side you've got your wiring going to your starter. We obviously need to make sure we take that off. You know, if you want to, you can mark them or whatever, but at least take a picture. It'll make it easier. But take those off and kind of get them out of the way before you start getting this transmission fully moved and all that stuff. So then on this side you've got your clutch cable. Yeah, so just make sure that you keep tension on that clutch table right there. You see the arm. I'm trying to point at it and hold the camera at the same time. but make sure you keep tension on that sucker. If you don't, it's going to come off the pedal assembly up front, and that's going to be a world of pain. I could do another video later to kind of show you how that works, but it's not fun. It's not fun at all. You don't want that to happen. So just keep tension on that thing. Don't let it go too far forward, and just make sure it's out of the way before you start pulling the transaxle out. All right, so for me personally, I'm going to replace this whole mount right here. I showed you guys what it looked like, the strap pack that I'm painting. So I'm just going to take these two main bolts out. They're hopefully not going to be a biatch, but I'm sure they have some pretty serious torque on them. But then I'm just going to leave everything else attached. But if you wanted to leave that arm on, which again, hey, it's also going to be a little easier to get the transaxle out if this comes with it. But all you would do is, there's a couple ways to do it. You just remove, well, maybe not. You'd have to remove the hardware from the bottom of the rubber mount, and then you would remove the hardware from the other part of the rubber mount, or you could just leave the rubber mounts on there. It's up to you. But yeah, and then I'll show you guys the front mount, and we'll take that off and go from there. All right, so I got these bolts loosened just a little bit. I'm not going to take them out just yet. And then my other hardware is right here. I'm gonna just loosen those. And then I'm gonna get my transmission jack rather, and put it underneath this thing and support it, and then take the hardware out here, and take the hardware out of here. And then I have to carefully, I've got vice grips on my clutch cable because I just don't want to deal with that. But once I get everything disconnected, I'll slowly feed that clutch cable out of the little arm right there on the plate. But yeah, again, that's one advantage of taking this plate off, is I can just support the entire transaxle right here and just pretty much go straight out with it instead of having to lift it over this bracket. So alright, so I got my transmission jack underneath there with the board or not, it don't really freaking matter. Then I've got my two nuts off and the ground strap off. Those are studs, yep. So now I'm going to take these bolts out and start moving it slowly, and just don't forget about that clutch cable regardless of how you've got it going on. But yeah, because you got to feed it through, so don't let it drop too quick and break something.